Good evening, good morning, and good day to you, gorgeous folks out there. Okay, winter is coming. Now, bear with me. I know that obviously the season's winter is coming, but I'm a little bit concerned about the industry. Now, hold up a minute. I know that we've been speaking at the conference. Well, I'm speaking, but I've been talking to people at the conference. Everybody is bullish about the market. Every single person I know, well, not every single person, there's two people I've been speaking to who aren't quite so bullish about the market at the minute. And everybody else just seems to be going ahead, full steam ahead. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. And I'm thinking, am I either they're naive or they're cleverer than me? Yeah, probably they're cleverer than me. That's for granted. But this is just a little warning for people, because I don't think we should always just assume the best. We've had some incredible years in self-storage, and I don't just mean the pandemic. We have had some fantastic years before the pandemic. It's just been good results, net. Everything's increasing all the time. I can't remember when self-storage, the industry, actually decreased. It's been a net increase all the time. I'm looking at America, and Americans now, the American self-storage industry is decreasing. The occupancy is decreasing. I've listened to two podcasts, Self-Storage Income by AJ Osborne, and I've also listened to My First Million. I love My First Million, by the way. Absolutely the best podcast in the world, barring none, not even mine. And they've been talking about winter is coming. They've been talking about occupancy. They've been talking about revenue. And I'm so grateful that other people are thinking the same way as me. Now, for me, what we've got to do is we've got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. But when I'm talking to people at the conference, I'm thinking, well, they're not worried. They know self-storage, so it must be okay. But what if it's not? What if it's not okay? What happens if there is the self-storage isn't this recession-proof as we think it is? And so this is just a message, just to heed the warning. And what a quote that I heard on My First Million was brilliant. Only the paranoid survive. This week, I've been having my 2-weekly meeting with Dan Bradbury, and he was talking about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, obviously, we all know how good Warren Buffett is in investing and stuff like that. And he made a quote saying, it shouldn't matter if there's a recession coming or not. A good deal is a good deal. You should only be doing that deal if a recession is around the corner and you still do the deal. If you were doing that deal and all of a sudden you knew a recession was around the corner, and all of a sudden you're pulling out because of a recession, then it's not really a good deal. A deal has to be almost recession-proof. You still should do the deal in good times and bad times. I was like, that is fantastic advice. That is great. And Warren Buffett has been through the good times, he's been through the bad times, and more importantly, he's still here. The good businesses are the ones that survive. It's as simple as that. And so sometimes we've got to take one step back to ensure that we can take 3 or 4 steps forward. There is going to be fantastic. It's not all doom and gloom. By no means is it doom and gloom. You know me, I'm really positive about the market. I think in 10 years, the self-storage industry is from where it is now compared to where it's going to be in 10 years' time. We're going to think, holy shit, I just wish I'd have got on this self-storage gravy train a lot earlier. And so ultimately, I know that self-storage is a fantastic industry. It's growing all the time. And over a long term, it will grow. But that's not to say that short term, we shouldn't be looking at our businesses, focusing on the weak points, stress testing the financials. Because yes, if you're big yellow, safe store, you can survive. Sure, guard. It doesn't really matter if there's a small recession coming or a recession coming for 2 years or whatever it is. It's irrelevant to them big boys, because they've got a lot deeper pockets than me. For the likes of the independent guys like me, I don't have millions of pounds in the bank. And so I have to ensure the long-term success of the company by looking at my cash flows, by protecting my cash. And the one concern I've got when I came back was, holy shit, I'm the only person who seems to worry about this. And then I got a message from Katie, shout out to Katie, saying that she was worried as well. And she was like, oh my God, nobody else seems to be worried. Why is nobody worried? And then I talked to Gavin Shields, and Gavin Shields has decided not to do 3 other self-storages. And he goes, I don't know, is it, do I regret doing it? I don't know, but I pulled out at the time because I thought that was right. And so they're the only two people I've spoke to who are not concerned, but are aware of the situation. So what can we do? Because we can always do stuff to protect ourselves. It's not all doom and gloom. And I still think that ultimately, I still think positively about self-storage. Of course I do, massively positive. I've told one of my best friends today to get into container storage. He's getting into container storage because on the back of what I said, and he's doing it right now. I'm still doing container self-storage. There's a new site that I'm looking at. Am I doing it? I don't know. But container storage, I'm definitely doing it because the capital outlay is very, very small and the risk is very, very small. Inside self-storage, can I afford £1 million fit out at a minute? Do I want to take that gamble? I don't know. I've got to stress test my financials. That's what I've got to do over the next couple of weeks. I've got to stress test my financials to make sure it's right. So what can we do? Cash flow projections. Are you on top of your cash flows? Are you doing cash flow projections? And I don't just mean cash flow projections thinking, oh yeah, do you know what? This is what we've been trudging along at for the last 12 months. They'll probably be the same. No, we've got to stress test them. What we've got to do is make sure we understand what happens if occupancy drops 10%. But not only the occupancy, because occupancy is one thing. Occupancy can go down 10%, it can fluctuate, but revenue is the most important thing because will we have more debtors? Quite possibly. And so you might lose 10% occupancy, but your revenue might go down 30% because you might be doing more offers to get people in. You might be doing 8 weeks half price instead of 4 weeks half price. You might have started 4 weeks half price and you don't normally do an offer. You might be dropping your prices. So your rate per square foot goes down. You might be doing all these things. So your occupancy might only go down 10%, but the revenue might go down 30%. So are you stress testing that? Are you doing your cash flows? And I want to get across that I'm not just saying this for doom and gloom because I'm really not. I'm so bullish about the industry. I've put an offer in for a new site this week. I put a new offer in for a container site this week that I'm so excited about. So I'm moving forward, but I'm just very, very careful and I'm stress testing everything because I want to make sure that if we lose 30% of our revenue, are we all right? Are we golden? What about 40%? But not only that, what happens if the worst case scenario hits? I believe it was AJ Osborne who said that in 2008, that the lost occupancy of 10% did some self-storage facilities, but it wasn't just 10% because of what I've just outlined. They lost 50% of their revenue. 50%. I mean, don't get me wrong. I never for 1 minute think that we're going to lose 50% of our revenue, but it's worth doing that stress test. It's worth doing that cash flows. So you start thinking, okay, if we lose 20% revenue, so if we lose 30% revenue, what can we do? How can we cut our expenses? And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these people who think you can save your way to wealth. 100% can. I don't get it about when these people say, this is just me, by the way, it's my personal thoughts and feelings, you'll never save yourself to be a millionaire. So people say, I'm not buying Starbucks, so I'm saving money. Save that, get that energy and focus on taking more revenue, starting a business, starting a side hustle. Don't waste all that. Me and my wife argue about us all the time. She says, turn the fire off. I'm like, Claire, you'll never save your way to zero. You'll never save your way to a millionaire. So don't even don't worry about it. We're okay. But what we should be focusing on, how can we make more money? What can we do to make more money? Not how can we save, because that's not an abundant mindset. We need an abundant mindset. But in business, what we need to do, we need to just be aware. We need to be aware. Having said all that, I've said, yeah, you can't save your way to zero, but you have to be. Oh, my Aurora ring says bedtime's approaching. We owe it to the investors. We owe it to our family. We owe it to our staff. We owe it to our staff's family, just to make sure we're aware of how we can cut our costs if we need to. So it might be subscriptions you have. It might be the leases you have. It might be whatever. There's loads. The expenses are massive. So what if you lose 50%? What do? It's worth having these thoughts now before you have to make decisions under pressure. And I don't think enough people actually stress test their business. So look at your cash flows, look at your projections, and don't just take best case scenario. Do 3 different projections. Do 3 different cash flows. Do best case, middle case, what you think is actually going to happen. And do worst case. So worst case for me, I reckon I'm going to do 40% revenue drop. I think that's absolutely bottom line, 40% revenue drop. What will we do if we hit a 40% revenue drop? Will we talk to the lenders? Will we talk to the people who we've got leases with? What do we do? What's the ideas? Do we ring up Mr. Landlord and say, Mr. Landlord, I'm really, really sorry, but we're in this little spot of trouble right now. Obviously, the self-storage industry is going to bounce back, but have that thought process in your head, because if we don't, then it'll hit you harder than the likes of people who have been prepared for it. And I know this is doom and gloom. I just think it's a responsibility that I have. I couldn't bear it if I'd feel so guilty if somebody opened a self-storage and it went wrong and I saw them at the conference. Well, you said it was going to be amazing, didn't you? Say it was. So yeah, but I was wrong. And so I just want to put a little bit of warnings out there that it might be, but it might not be the same winter that we've had previously. It might be a lot worse. It might be fine, but it might not be. There's no harm for protecting yourself against the downside. What can you do? Think about your projections. And I've got some other notes here. So there's going to be lots of opportunity. So the worst thing you can do now is have a loss of opportunity. I'm still recording. A loss of opportunity, meaning that you don't have the liquid cash there to at the minute. What have we got in the bank? We've got over 200 grand in the bank. Do I want to go below that? No, I don't want to go below it because I know the opportunities are coming. I know there's going to be other self-storage that I can acquire. I know there's going to be other land I can acquire, maybe other buildings that I can acquire for maybe 70 pence on the pound, because there's going to be so many opportunities. When times of recession, there is always opportunities everywhere. I was talking to Dan Bradbury about it, and he was like, "Dean, there's going to be so many opportunities. Make sure you're liquid. Make sure you talk to investors. Make sure that you've got all your eggs lined up, just in case that you're ready, like a coiled spring. That when the opportunity comes, that you can pounce on it. So don't make sure you don't lose the loss of opportunity. Make sure that you have the cash there. Make sure you've got some cash reserves. One, because you might need it if worst case scenario, you might need a bit of cash flow. But two, because there's going to be so many opportunities there. I can absolutely guarantee there'll be something in the next year where I'll think, oh my God, I can't believe I've got this opportunity. I'm so excited for that opportunity. But if I just go ahead and spend all that cash and don't sit on the pile of cash, and I don't think sitting on the pile of cash, by the way, is in normal times the best thing to do. I think you should always make cash work for you. But I just think that we've got to have our eggs lined up and making sure that we're ready to pounce on the opportunity when it arises, because it will do, whether it be land, whether it be a building, whether it be another business to buy, we can always do. I just want people to ask themselves, if you put your negative glasses on, where is the dangers to your business? Where is the immediate dangers to your business? And what can you do about it? How would you react if that happens? And I know it's horrible thought. Nobody likes thinking this. I feel, do you know, doing this podcast, normally I'm like, way upbeat, way. But just thinking about it now, I'm thinking, oh God, it's a drag you down, doesn't it? Of course it does. But it's better to think about them now. It's better to be prepared than not prepared. I can't remember the saying, but anyway, you get what I mean. It's better to be miles more better to be prepared than, I'm really good at English, aren't I? It's so be prepared and just think about it. Make sure we're aware of the upcoming situation. And by the way, self-storage, I was talking to my friend today, all we can do is go on historical data. Historical data says that self-storage has always outperformed all other asset classes. And so why is this going to be any different? But what does outperforming other asset classes mean? Does it mean a 30% drop in revenue? Does it mean when everyone else has got a 50% drop in revenue? Does it mean a 10% drop in revenue? What does it mean? And so let's just be prepared for it. Yes, it's probably, the chances are that it's 90% going to be absolutely fine and we're going to sail through it, just like self-storage sails through everything. But I would hate to think that somebody's coming into the industry without their eyes wide open. So next Monday, I will do the monthly figures. I've got the monthly figures for Clough Road, the monthly figures for Willoughby, and I've also got all the quarterly figures as well. Some really, really interesting data for the quarterly figures. And also, I have got my profit and loss as well that I'm going to share with you. Not as much as I thought, believe it or not. I was aiming for 150 grand profit, net profit, and we hit less than that. But I'll tell you all about it next week. There might be a podcast every single day next week, and they've got so much to fit in. So let's just see if I've got, so remember 30% occupancy I've got here. What will happen if you lose 30% occupancy? But 30% occupancy might be 50% revenue. Have you projected all out in terms of your cash flow? What we do if revenue goes, so people will pay. Yeah, we've done that. I've done it all. Yeah, where are you going to make the savings? Yeah, I actually made notes for this podcast. I actually made notes. Can you believe it? I actually made notes. I never make notes for these podcasts. Right. Okay. I am sorry for being doom and gloom, but I just feel like that maybe people are clever than me, but I want. There's no negative for actually preparing for the worst. I can't think of a negative for looking at worst case scenario, especially in this economic climate. Yes, we've had recessions before, but we've never had one like this with the recession, with the war, with the electric prices, with coming off the back of COVID. Were we having a lockdown? Worst case scenario, yes. Probability, no. But we don't know. We don't know. So what will happen? What will you do? Are people going to move out? Is the interest rates too much for people to move out? Is the stamp duty offsetting that? I don't know. There's so many question marks that we don't know at the minute. And because we don't know, it's better to be safe rather than sorry. Because I want to build a big business in 10 years. But it doesn't mean that we've got to be moving forward at full pace every single year. Sometimes it's like driving a car. You cannot drive your car full pelt all the time. If I'm going from Beverly to London, I'm not going to drive my car full belt all the time. There's twists, there's turns, just like business. Sometimes we're going to have to go 10 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour around the corner. Sometimes it's 30 mile an hour zone, and so we can only go 30 miles an hour. Other times we're on a motorway and we know what we're doing. We can go 85 miles. I think I can only go about 82, something like that. Set my cruise control, off we go. But so it's exactly like business. So sometimes we need to slow down. And I think this is one of these times that if you're not aware, if you haven't projected it, if you haven't stress tested your business, then we should be aware about it. And it's just a thought-provoking exercise. I'm sorry, guys, I bang on for 16 minutes, 17 minutes about stuff that hopefully will never happen. But if I do, then yeah, it's better to be prepared than not. All right, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm sure soft storage. I feel really bad. All right, see you later, bye.